In a foreign land far from the mist and stone of Scotland, a warlord rode into battle wearing a dead king's heart around his neck. By sunset, one of them would be buried in Spain. This is the brutal, true story of the Black Douglas. Robert the Bruce's final wish wasn't to be buried in Scotland. It was for his heart to be taken from his body and carried into holy war. James Douglas, known to the English as the Black Douglas, was the most feared man in Scotland, a shadow in the night, a master of psychological warfare who reclaimed his ancestral lands through blood and iron. When King Robert the Bruce lay dying in 1329, he didn't ask for a monument. He asked for his heart to go where he never could, the Holy Land. Douglas, his most loyal captain, accepted the mission. He hung the silver casket containing the king's heart around his neck and set sail. This wasn't a funeral procession, it was a military expedition. Douglas traveled with a hardened knightly retinue, carrying the weight of a nation's soul. But the road to Jerusalem was never straight. In the 14th century, crusading was a web of politics, papal favor, and shifting alliances. And Douglas would soon learn that devotion alone did not decide destiny. He stopped in Spain, answering a call from King Alfonso XI. The Moors were pushing from the south, and Alfonso needed the legendary steel of the Scottish knights. For Douglas, this was the perfect proving ground before the final march east. One more battle, one more chance to glorify his dead king. He traded the cold mists of the highlands for the brutal baking heat of the Iberian Peninsula. A guerrilla fighter trained in bogs and forests, now standing on a sun-drenched killing field. The English had called him a devil. Now the Moors would learn why. He hadn't come for gold or land. He had come to fulfill a promise to a dead man. The tension in the camp was thick as the two armies mirrored each other across the valley of Teba. Armor creaked, horses snorted, men whispered prayers. Douglas looked down at the silver casket. The heart of Scotland beat against his own chest. He knew the stakes. If he fell here, the king's wish died with him. If he won, he would be one step closer to the Holy Sepulchre. This was not just a battle. This was a test of his soul. Every knight under his command felt the same crushing gravity. His eyes scanned the horizon, searching for the first sign of movement. The destiny of a kingdom rested in a small silver box. He would not fail. He was the Black Douglas. But history is rarely kind, and Douglas was about to make the one mistake he could not afford. The Battle of Teba began not with a roar, but with a trick. The Moorish cavalry practiced the tornado, a feigned retreat designed to lure over-eager knights into a trap. Douglas, used to the solid shield walls and disciplined schiltrons of the north, saw the enemy breaking rank and sensed an opening. He spurred his horse forward, the silver casket hammering against his breastplate. This was his moment, a brutal charge to shatter the enemy line. He thought he was leading a decisive attack. He thought the Spanish were right behind him. But as he glanced back, he realized the terrifying truth. He was alone. The Black Douglas, the terror of England, had been outmaneuvered by a tactic he had never seen. Surrounded by a sea of enemy steel, he looked at his few remaining men. There would be no escape, and he knew it. In a final defiant act of knightly devotion, James Douglas reached for the silver casket. He tore it from his neck and hurled it into the thickest knot of enemy soldiers. "Lead on, brave heart. Douglas will follow you, in life or in death." He didn't wait for an answer. He drove his horse straight into the Moorish line. Steel clashed, spears splintered, men vanished beneath pounding hooves. For a few brutal moments, the Devil of Scotland carved a path through the chaos. But numbers do not care about legends. Blades closed around him from every side. His horse went down, and somewhere beneath the dust and screaming, the Black Douglas finally fell. When the dust settled on the plains of Spain, the most feared man in Britain lay dead. But the heart survived. Legend says the silver casket was found beneath his body, shielded even in death by the man who had sworn to protect it. Impressed by his ferocity and his loyalty, the Moors allowed the survivors to take the heart and Douglas's remains back to Scotland. The Black Douglas never reached Jerusalem, but he achieved something else. He gave Robert the Bruce a second life in the songs of the people. The heart was buried at Melrose Abbey. The Douglas family added a bloody heart to their coat of arms, a permanent reminder of a promise kept at the highest price. It is a story of devotion, miscalculation, and the brutal truth of medieval warfare. Even the greatest warrior can die in the wrong valley on the wrong day. Wallace started the fire. Bruce won the crown. But it was the Black Douglas who carried the soul of the nation to the edge of the world. He died in the heat of Spain, but his legend is carved into the stone of Scotland forever. This is the real Braveheart, and this is why Scotland never forgets.